Hello, everybody. It is. uh, I'm really wide for some reason. It is March 17th, 2025, 7 p.m. EST, and you are watching the Dovecote episode 63 with Sasha Reneau. You might be wondering if you're watching these as they come out. Was there also a Dovecote yesterday? Yes, there was. I'm making up for some lost time here. Uh, Sasha, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sasha Reneau. I'm a game designer who lives out on the west coast of the United States of America, and I am a hagfish for this particular interview, as I should be always, but science hasn't gotten me there yet.
Some animal stuff is happening today.
Yes,
Uh,
some
what
very
what might
important animals.
folks know you for?
Sure. So, my sort of flagship uh game is Spindle Wheel. It's a tarot-like storytelling game where you weave a story from card to card. It's based on uh, it's very much inspired by tarot, but the deck itself is completely bespoke. It's all different kinds of archetypes from you've got cards in there that are sort of tarot like the Fool, but you've also got like the Tin Penny and Leviathan and that kind of thing. Um, so uh, that's mostly what I'm known for. I've got a number of other games that have been floating around, but yeah,
Hell yeah, Spin Wheel is so cool. Not to focus entirely on it here because I know that there are other games that you've been working on recently that you'd like to talk about. But uh, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you. So I think the place where I heard about Spindle Wheel and thus you was was Riley Hopkins the like second season of If Not Us Then Who, where it was like Star Wars, and they did Spin a Wheel as an opening to that. Um,
oh, I remember that. Yeah,
yeah, that fucked. And I was like, wow, that's such a cool game. That Sasha seems like such a cool person. And then years later, I met you at Big Bad Con, and I was like, holy shit, it's the Sasha Reneau, and also like you're. And then I was like, oh wait, he's kind of just a hagfish.
kind of. Yeah. At the end of the day, under this pile of cards, you sweep that away, and it's just a little slimy guy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Um, so what was I gonna ask about? Oh yeah, brain. Um, I mean, you've done me a favor here, which is that you've basically set up the flow of the interview for me. Um, so I'm just gonna follow your lead. Um, much like a particularly like clever medium might lead their latest ruse into their latest rube into a specific belief about the future of their life. Um, Speaking of which, you one of the things that you mentioned that you put down here, you want to talk about is tarot and tarot games. You include examples of Royal Blood by Grant Howitt and Anamnesis by Sam Lee. Um, I suppose my question with that immediately is that like obviously, as you said, like Spinel Wheel is very inspired by tarot. Have you made any games that are like directly like tarot games?
I've made I believe I have. Um, yes. Okay. So there's one of them is not like I never like made a PDF of it or whatever. I just made like a Tumblr post about it because it's like the premise of it I think carries it more than the rules,
Hmm.
which is it's a it's a game where you 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 have it's a three-player game, at least three players, right? Um and each of you plays uh, one of the mythical three. That is to say, like one of the three fates, or the three furies, or the three whatever. Um, and um, and you are playing poker with tarot cards.
Oh.
Um, and so there's a couple of games happening while you're playing it. The premise is that uh, these three uh, powerful figures have, had a long day of telling people's futures and prophesying doom and stuff like that, and they're
Hmm.
going a little loopy, so they're taking a break, um, and they're playing poker together. And while they're playing, they still have people coming up and asking them questions. Um, so you have the fourth player, who can be anybody, comes up to the table and asks a question, and um, they're uh, the three are playing, I believe, Texas Hold'em, which has the river in the middle, right? Um, by which I mean it has, so you have two cards and there are three cards on the table, and you're trying to make the best hand with your two cards and the three cards on the table out of everybody there. That's how you win. Um, so you can win by playing a good poker game, right? Um, you can also win by using your cards to tell the best fortune for the person asking the question,
Oh, fun.
because they're tarot cards.
Yeah.
Um, and there's the person who comes up to the table has a coin of some kind, being like
Hmm.
a traveler, a person in the afterlife, that kind of thing. And it could be an actual coin, it could be chocolate, I don't care. Um, and they award it to whoever either tells the best fortune or the worst fortune, right? Just depends
Hmm.
on their judgment. Um, and that's how the game goes. Is um, like the the three of the fates, telling these stories to each other and to their audience, and fucking around, basically.
That sounds really fun. Um, I really like the idea of like that alternative resolution system that just returns like back to the like most basic truths of the thing that you're using of the tarot cards. I think that's really fun.
Yeah. I really want to test it, but I
Hell
have to
yeah.
find people who know the deck well, uh, which has been a challenge for me. I don't know the deck particularly well, but I'm like, I'm gonna learn it so that I can get two other people to play with me.
As a card, I'll just yeah, as a card pervert.
Uh-huh.
Do you have you ever played the game Hand of Fate?
I haven't, no.
So Hand of Fate is a there's two of them, and they're both uh I'm not sure how they're roguelike games that have like kind of like shitty Arkham style combat. That's not like really the point of them. Um,
Mm,
the point of them is like they are a uh like you are managing like your character's like food and gold and like a bunch of like weird like blessings and curses and weird rules that you have to deal with.
mm,
And the entire way that the game is framed is you are this is a video game, by the way. You
mhm,
are a person who is like facing a dealer who is like constantly like ever present, making fun of you, like toying with you, giving you a pat on the back when you succeed, um, and everything's laid out like as cards on a table. Like you, as you navigate, you're like navigating through a like laid out like almost dungeon of cards. Um,
mm.
just some of the vibes of the game that you described previously kind of reminded me of that. Uh, uh, yeah, I love cards are cool.
Yeah.
did you see the imaginary card jam? Did you look at any of those?
I did. I haven't looked through it, but I'm like delighted by the premise. Um, I considered submitting one, uh, and making it as inscrutable as possible. Um,
Uh,
having having like made having made a modest career of trying to make tarot as accessible as possible, I figured
mhm,
maybe I would go the other way for a minute. Um, but like playing cards, not like playing cards, but like game cards, I'm actually a lot less familiar with.
mm,
Like I played Magic the Gathering before, and I played, when I was much younger, I played like Pokemon and stuff like that. Um, and like Yu-Gi-Oh and that sort of thing. Um, but I never got good at like the strategy of it. Like I never like
right.
got good at like building a deck or um playing the right cards at the right time or whatever. I never won any of those games.
Yeah, I also was never really good at those. By the way, I just want to point out, Sneaky Phoenix is saying, "Oh, the imaginary card jam. Would that I had the meds for it, I would have been so stoked to chip in." There's still 7 days of it, so I'm doing finger guns.
Oh,
You can't
okay.
see it, but um, yeah, I also really never got into those magics and those Yu-Gi-Ohs and such. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, um, I guess like one thing that I do want to ask about like you know direct tarot games, and I suppose to an extent Spindle Wheel as well. Like,
Mhm.
what do you personally find compelling about cards, sort of in that vein?
Yeah, so I find that like tarot's real strength sort of across all the games that I've played with it is generative. That
Hmm.
is to say, it's really good at giving you a narrow set of imagery to play with, and so like you'll see this in a lot of games where like you're using the tarot cards as a prompt, or you're using tarot cards in a spread, um, and like the nice thing about um the nice thing about them is that there is room on a card for like a couple of really intense symbols and not much else. Um so it's more than uh like a paragraph, right?
Hmm.
But it's or rather it's less than a paragraph, more than a dice roll. It's in that kind of nice sweet spot. Um and the thing that Spindle Wheel in particular is good for, is presenting this picture that that um that you're inspired by to sort of extract what inspiration you want and leave the rest. Um, and in play, when you're sort of taking the ideas that you have pulled from the cards and pushing them against each other and seeing what happens, um, the deck itself is not great at answering yes or no questions or pass or fail questions. What it's really good at is telling you how something happens. Um, like there isn't much of a quantifiable difference between, like, for instance, the cards Plague or Blizzard in terms of like how bad it is, but it does give you a much different flavor of kind of bad that it is, right? Um, so like the the thing that um the thing that you will usually see tarot for, at least in my very modest exploration of tarot in tabletop games, is like tone setting and for
Mhm.
color and for there is something like uh there's a weight to a tarot card that isn't present in a playing card, right? um there's like a reputation with a tarot card that you're sort of invoking, um
Yeah.
that feels, and the imagery of it can be really powerful and really really affecting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I think like sorry, I'm realizing very quickly that that's not necessarily what I meant to say. Uh, I
Oh,
agree on specifically the last point that you said.
uh-huh.
I think you're generally right. But specifically, I agree that like they are really powerful, like kind of like foundational images. Um,
Mhm.
I had a guy when I was in college trying to like flirt with me by being like, "Yeah, you're kind of the magician," and honestly, he was right. So they're very like archetypal and stuff. I'd be curious,
Mhm.
like something that's like kind of interesting about tarot is the presence of like the like swords, pentacles, cups, like all that stuff. I'm kind of curious if
Mhm.
someone could like make a spindle wheel esque like faux tarot that like doesn't really like has symbols that show up like repeatedly and like has like a guide that you read before looking at any of them, and so you're kind of like interpreting partially based on the symbols present. Um, Now I'm
Oh,
kind
that'd
of
be
just
sick.
idly thinking about silly ideas.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, like, Oracle decks are so much fun, and they're
Mhm.
so fun to make. And it's really cool. The thing about like Oracle decks and tarot decks, so the thing about tarot decks that I think is really really good is that at least with like the uh, Rider Waite deck, the Smith Waite deck rather, the sort of the deck that you think about when you think about tarot, um, is that it's not like a found object. It was constructed with like real intent for the symbols and meanings of that it contains to be in conversation with the other cards. So it is meant to be I don't think it is a completely coherent system, but it is meant to be a coherent system. It is meant to
Right.
talk to itself. And making something in that vein that has these repeated symbols, that has these repeated elements to it that like refer to other cards and that can contrast other cards is genuinely so much fun. You should do it, is my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, the things that you just mentioned all kind of relate to the next thing that you had written down here, um, which is machine games. Or not necessarily that. We already talked about Spin the Wheel. Machine
Mhm,
games. Not the company that made Wolfenstein, but
mhm.
the TTRPG concept machine games. Could you explain what you meant by that? Because I think I understand, but I think it might be helpful to my audience.
Yeah, so machine games, I don't actually know what it means in the broader context of like tabletop RPGs, but I can tell you what it means to me and what sort of lights my brain on fire about it, which is machine games are games that feel like you are not really playing them so much as you are operating them. Um, Machine games are these like these systems that are without your input inert, but with your input generate a an outcome that has very little to do with you.
Hmm.
Um, and the According to this definition, so like a very simple version of this is um like what are they called? Those memes that go by on like social media that are like your like pick out of this list based on when you were born, what your
Hmm.
first name starts with, and your birth date, right? Or your where you were born, that kind of thing. Which is like basically just fishing for information, but whatever.
Right.
Um, but like the your input is vital, right? Because otherwise it's just a list. But the outcome has very little to do with your choices. Um, there are two examples of machine games by my definition. One of them is a game called Hollerith by Rufus Roswell,
Hmm.
um, in which um, it is a like it's a game about operating a mech and interacting with the bureaucracy around which you operate that mech. Um, so you have the first part of it is um, you you are filling out this questionnaire, and you're answering questions like how confident are you in your ability to fulfill your mission, 1 to 10, and that kind of thing. And it gets more cynical than that, and it gets um, more grotesque than that as it
Hmm.
goes along. It's really really fantastically written. And then at the end, um, like y- you have basically written out this this paragraph of information that the game has prompted you, and then um, it has you take a piece of paper and punch out holes in that piece of paper based on the numbers that you collected, and then to get answers from your mech, you overlay the punch card that you just made over the answers that you gave, and interpret the answer from the mech from the letters that the punch card selects for you.
Oh, that fox. That's so that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it makes a really cool artifact between those two items. Um, I really like Hollerith. It's very cool. Um, and the other version of machine games is uh actually a game that I designed with Josie Robo, um uh called Heart Machine. And it is a spindle wheel game. It's in the spindle wheel romance pack um of games. It's like 4 games there. Um and Heart Machine is 4 spreads of cards. 3 of them are characters, and the fourth is the world. So it kind of looks like a club from like a playing card club.
Love machine.
Love Machine, yeah. Um and um the way that you play it is you sort of instigate one part of the character sheet, the character spread, which makes the character act in a certain way, which pushes on another character to make them act a certain way, which bounces to the next character or bounces to the world, and you kind of
Hmm.
trace these lines across this map, watching as they and like describing how they interact with each other. But you're not making choices for them. The choices that you're making are like, where does the line go next? Um, like you're sort of you're interpreting what is going on based on the cards and the direction that the line is going, but you are not acting for these characters. These characters are their own cogs.
Yeah, it's a machine that moves slowly and occasionally asks you when something happens. You know, like, hey, what does this mean? What does this mean to you?
Yeah. Um, and it's a great little thing because it's a triad of characters, and sometimes they're in love, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they think that they are and they're not, and sometimes they think they're not and they are,
Oh,
and etc. And it's great. It's a great little game.
oh yeah, I should give that a look. That sounds really cool.
Mhm.
Sick. Um, Very cool. I had not really heard much about machine games. I knew that they were a thing, like you know the Great Machine type idea.
Oh yeah.
But I also didn't know that there were games that went that far in that direction. Like I had heard of like people like contending with like, oh, is my thing more of an open field or a Great Machine? But like not. I don't know if they used those words exactly, but like
Mm.
uh, that's really cool. Um, Oh yeah, you wanted to talk about. I mean, I'll just ask my my question that I often ask, and I think I will know what the answer is. Uh,
Mhm.
what have you been working on lately?
Yeah. So I'm glad that you asked. I have been working on a little game called Anemone, and it's in reaction to a couple of blog posts that you wrote, um, which I think is very funny that you wrote these great calls to action that are like make your games uh like angrier and like sexier and fuckier and like just more, you know. And my answer to that was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make you be a little bit mean to your friends for fun. That's my version of it. um so anemone is about the friction of friendship, and what that means is like um when you're friends with a person for a for an amount of time, it comes up some like strange assumptions or um like flashes of a crush or
Hmm.
like just weird ways of describing each other, right? That are sometimes a little off-putting, and that is the kind of friction that I'm interested in. um I'm interested in the argument that you have that is kind of playful, kind of real. Um and what Anemone does is Anemone is about putting on a show with four players. Um and the way that you resolve problems in the show is by taking those points of friction that other people have given you and sort of um like using them to solve problems.
Yeah.
I had a playtest of it a couple days ago, and it went, first of all, surprisingly well, um, and also gave me like a lot of feedback. I'm like raring to do another playtest of it very soon. I'm trying my best not to just like drop it on itch, like
Hmm.
sight unseen, but it's very difficult.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Um, the, just like I've read this game and it's really cool, and I'm really excited to see you like continue to work on it. Um, and B, I'm kind of curious, like, what are your thoughts on playtesting? Like, uh, like you know, uh, do you, where do you land on the you can put something on itch without playtesting it versus you need to playtest your game a million times before putting on itch spectrum?
um I find playtesting invaluable personally, um in my design. um I have, and I'm very aware of this, I have a lot of blind spots when it comes to player like ambition uh and behavior. um and so I am surprised a lot by by playtests. They give me a lot of information. They give me a lot of really good feedback, and the thing that I really like about design is putting together a system and then discovering what it does. Um, so like with the playtest a couple days ago, um, like one of the things that I realized was that it was it was more self generated than I wanted it to be.
Hmm.
Um, it was the way that the prompts were written were like were putting the impetus of generation on the person getting the card, getting the point of friction. And I don't actually want that. I want uh with this game, I want you to get this collection of impressions about you and have to organize them against your own self-image in some way. It's like, okay, these people think this of me? That's bizarre. How do I like
Yeah.
accept that and um like use that to my advantage, you know?
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's neat. Like, I'm also a person who, like, kind of just comes up with shit and then goes and do a playtest and it's like, okay, here's how to hone. Here's how I'm gonna hone like this. Because like you often come in with like both a theme and a mechanical thing that you're fascinated with, and finding the place between those two things can be tricky.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm also, I have done my fair share of just writing a thing and then like splat, it's on itch. I
Yeah,
don't
me
care.
too.
Um, like, but with that stuff, like it it tends to be like mechanical stuff, like a mechanical space that I feel like I understand pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, like I have a good idea of what this is going to do and how this is going to feel playing it. Um, like I think like a couple of games that I did for that, like I have a couple of solo games that are very easy to test because I can just do it. Um,
Uh-huh.
that I didn't necessarily send to anyone else. I just sort of like ran it through a couple times and was like, "Yep, this works. Get it on itch." Um, but I also made a game called "Couldn't Stand Still If You Tried," which was for a music jam back in the day.
Oh, fun.
So it's inspired by Guitar Module 2017 by Upper Wilds, which is my favorite album, I think. Um, like full stop. It's this like noise album, sort of noise rock kind of thing. It's really distorted, it's really heavy and loud and energetic, and I love it. Um, and it sounds like it has these tracks that sound like you're in a spaceship that is barely hanging together. Like there's
Hell
so
yeah.
much rattling and like grinding and awful sounds happening.
Good.
It's really cool, and the game that I wrote about it was basically you are in a tin can hurtling through space, and you don't know anyone else on board, but you have this tenuous connection to your friends outside, which you can send a message every couple of minutes to them, and there's a little table for like things that are happening to you, and you play this while you listen to the album Guitar Modules 2017, and when the song ends you send your message, and then the next song begins and you're in the sort of the next leg of your journey. um and i I have a pretty good idea of what that feels like to play, and I didn't feel like
Right.
I needed to play test it a whole lot because I'm pretty confident on like the first of all the experience that I want to give. The album is doing a crazy amount of carrying on that, on like the tone of the game. And it's a very simple game ultimately. You get a couple of prompts and you write out a thing and you respond to the messages that you get. Um, it's not like there's a bunch of mechanical crunch that needs to be balanced, you know. Um, so it really depends.
Yeah, I feel similarly. Uh, one game that I actually did not play test recently, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to, is A Stranger's Just a Friend. I've not play tested at all. Uh,
Oh,
I've not even tried melting chocolate with with a candle. I am I am genuinely really intrigued to see how that game will break for other people before I get the chance to do it myself, because I just don't really have a space right now where I can do that. I'm like living with my parents, so I don't want to accidentally
hmm
set anything on fire. Um, but once I get an apartment and a girl to play games with me, then we'll be in the money. Then there will be candle being melted and twinks getting railed. Um,
perfect,
yeah. Okay.
ideal.
Um, uh, yeah, we can talk a bit about this last thing. You wrote down just Realis. What do you what thoughts do you have on Realis?
Yeah. So, it is like one of the games that I have been playing recently.
Hmm.
Um, a friend got a little group together and we've been playing. Um, and it's it's really interesting. It's like it really I think that they picked the right genre for that mechanic. So the way that
Hmm.
Realis works is that um you have a number of sentences that are like I always cure my patients, or I always carry a bag of like alchemical supplies or things like that. Um and they can be really powerful. Like I always cure my patient is up there, you know.
Hmm.
um and the way that they like you start with these sentences, and the way that you sort of level up in the game is those sentences get more and more specific, and the more specific they are, the more powerful they are. So like I always cure my patient when the moon is full or whatever, would be like a developed version of that sentence. Um, and the setting of Realis is very sort of magical sci-fi. So it happens. Realis is this big planet, and surrounding it are the thousand moons, and each of these moons is has like its own occupants and its own problems and things like that. And you can do like a sort of a planet jumping, a moon jumping adventure where you go and you solve problems or you make problems or whatever. Um, but it starts you as really, really, really powerful with these basic sentences, and that lends, at least to the play that I've encountered, to um, kind of light, like a little floaty gameplay,
Hmm.
which is a weird thing to say about a tabletop game, but like um, it it feels like whenever you get to a problem, um, you can kind of if you have the right sentence for it, you can kind of dismiss it in one swoop. Like bam, that's the problem solved. Now deal with the situation that exists now, right? Um, which is like uh, which is usually a good thing. It doesn't have to be. Um, but it feels floaty in that way, in that the fiction is very easy to interact with. It's not like, oh, I only have 7 arrows here, I'm gonna be screwed for this combat encounter or whatever. It's like, oh no, I always hit my mark, I'm good, you know. um
Hmm.
and the setting of it being really this like like the art and the writing and stuff in the setting of Realis like reminds me a lot of like Mobius art. The French comic artist from the whenever.
Yeah.
Um which is like really, really fucking gorgeous. Like if you're an illustrator and you want to get kind of mad, you just like Google Mobius for a
Mhm.
little bit. Um
Extremely sick shit.
yeah.
Yeah, I read Reals as well, and it's great. Yeah, pretty much for the reasons you described. Like I'm really excited to play it. I think I shouldn't. Let me. How cagey can I be about this? I I am involved in a show that might play Realis at some point. That's all I'll
Nice.
say. Yeah,
Excellent.
that's what we'll say. Because
Mhm.
I don't want to blow my co-host spot on that. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really excited to play that game. It seems like it would be extremely my shit. I'm just looking for the right time to dive in. Um,
Yeah.
hell yeah! All right, how do we feel about going through one news story and then taking a break?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, Cordis the Newsbird coming in from the beautiful moons of Realis. Okay, and then I just need to get my window capture. Make sure it's set up right. Okay, so our first story. Very sad, very unfortunate. Big Bad Con posted this announcement on Blue Sky and also on Discord, and probably some other places. Announcement for 2025. After careful consideration, the board leadership and our staff have concluded that we are unable to host our in-person convention this year. We discussed this thoroughly, and the decision was not reached lightly. Our volunteer staff and rangers exceeded expectations in organizing last year's convention. We thank them for their hard work. So we have not received any like additional information about why this is happening, but I'm certainly sad about it.
Yeah, it is a real bummer. Um, Big Bad is a really special convention. Um, it's like it's a really core place for indie tabletop RPGs and for their designers and their players. That like Gen Con places like that just can't or doesn't facilitate the same kind of spaces and um, like the way that Big Bad Con uh, has been as a convention has been like really thoughtful, really considerate, really um, like really trying to improve and be uh, more accommodating every year, which is really impressive.
Yeah, extremely accessible. Like broadly,
Mhm.
like one of a few cons that like actually has a masking policy.
Mhm.
Uh, and you know, like for all that can be said about like you know what happened last year with the boycott. They did eventually like you know respond in the way that they should. Um,
Mhm.
and seemed open and had a plan for like making things better in the future. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm generally like I'm hopeful. Not necessarily hopeful. I'm hoping that there is another one in 2026 because I was really looking forward to it this year, and this was definitely a bummer. Um,
Yeah. Me too.
uh, of course, part of the discourse right now is all of your classic ghouls coming out to be like, damn, if only they hadn't boycotted the con. And it's like, are you 9 years old? Go, go, go care about something important. Like,
Mhm.
fuck off. Um, yeah, I'm not even gonna give that much oxygen just because, but I thought it was worth mentioning because it is something that's going on. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm,
I really doubt that that was the reason, honestly.
yeah,
Like, and like putting on an event of this size with this many people and um like trying to do it in the best possible way, like trying to be conscientious and accommodating and accessible, um, like is not easy. And like it is right and it is worthwhile in my opinion. But like I can't imagine like the stress that
Mhm.
putting on an event like this like entails. And like I don't know if they were anticipating like a bigger crowd, or if they anticipated um needing to escalate, or like one of one of the things that I can think of is like just anticipating between how completely unpredictable the like political climate is right now.
Yeah, an economic
How
climate.
absolutely. And also like considering that, and considering the worst case scenario where they have to um charge an arm and a leg for like
Mhm.
tickets, kind of a thing, where it becomes uh unsustainable in that respect. This is me just completely speculating, but I think that those are like very respectable reasons not to run this year, you know?
Yeah, I think those are frankly very respectable reasons to think twice about doing anything this year.
Uh-huh.
Like, uh, not to be alarmist, but like especially if you're doing anything that involves like anything international, especially if it involves
Hmm.
international guests. Like, um, yeah, I don't know. If anyone's, I'm gonna be at Nauticon Con, and I'm also gonna be at PAX U. So if you want to say hi to me, that's where to find me. Um, I also live at beep. Come to my house and fuck me, in the words of Brentley Mulligan. I shouldn't say that loud in this hotel. I don't know how thick these walls are, but yeah, yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
that's pretty much that. Alrighty,
Hmm.
let's take a little break. Let's see. We'll be back at 52, and we'll do our next story, which is more fun. Um,
Hmm.
so we'll be right back. Oh, I don't have a be right back thing. It's this one. Hello, everybody. We are back with more Dovecote, and more news in particular. Um, as I said, this one would be more fun. BackerKit is doing this really interesting thing from March 13th to April 3rd, where there are just an absurd amount of very easy to play, easy to learn games that are funding. And there's a bunch of cross collab stuff. If you back 6 of these, you get a funny little dice bag, which is fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And they have this cute little overlay thing, which I think is like really impressive. Like, I imagine getting all these folks to make little like kind of old form ass icons for this was kind of an undertaking, and I definitely commend BackerKit for getting that done. Yeah, I have not looked at many of these. I think the only one that I really know is I think Alan Once Magic is in this, right?
Cool.
Vidya Violetti's recent thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing a lot about this game. I think partially just because like I run in similar game circles as the folks who are working on it. Seems cool. But let me see if there are any of these that are, here we go. Not funded. We're gonna look at the not funded ones. So yeah, I definitely recommend looking at both the funded and not funded. But if you're looking to help push some of these projects over the edge, consider that. And they also have this tracker for all the projects, which is pretty fun. Although it doesn't show by dollar. Okay, it's by projects funded. $563,000 is pretty fucking impressive over all these projects.
Ooh.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. I don't know. It's cool to see more stuff that isn't just Scene Month. I guess like more
Definitely.
small TTRPG things that are not just like Zine Month again, more Zine Month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping to see more projects, more things like this from crowdfunding sites that are not BackerKit, or sorry, that are not Kickstarter specifically.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I have much more to say on this. Do you have anything more to say on this?
Honestly, it's just like the uh it seems like a really cool like marketing push
Mm-hmm.
um to get everybody together in that kind of way, and um get everyone get at least a couple of these projects involved with each other, which makes you know makes them sort of access each other's audiences, which is great. um I feel like that's kind of core to um getting your project out to more than just like the audience that already backs it, um to like sort of expand your net in that kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's mutual, right? So both of you are benefiting from it, which is absolutely great.
Yeah, I used a cross collab for Draco Traffication, and it worked out really well. There are a lot of people who wouldn't have funded either of our games if they had not, initially funded the others. So,
Hmm.
oh yeah, by the way, not related to this story, but Draco Traffication is like 60 is $55, $54 away from our next goal. So,
Oh,
if you want Natalie Pudim of Warrengard to write 2 new like archetypes for the dragon and the maiden, get in
and you
there.
do.
And
Yeah.
you do, because Natalie is like extremely like both a very good dragon person and a very good pervert person. So
Hmm.
think about that.
Perfect.
But yeah, uh, awesome. All right. Well, I did not prompt people to send emails. Hopefully, they did. The email is darlingdemoneclipse@gmail.com. If anyone would like to ask me or Sasha questions, about tarot games, about Spindle Wheel, about
Blackfish.
Hagfish, about cons, uh, about transgender.
Hmm.
um, it's about having fun and playing toys and having fun little ideas. Uh,
Hmm.
drop us a question. Until then, I guess we can just shoot the shit. Let me think about anything that I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about on the show yet?
Um, let's see. Uh, so okay, there is like I have been working on this project since November of last year. That
Hmm.
I absolutely have to get out there. So I'm gonna uh officially announce it here. So I have to do it. Um, which is that I am doing a series of video essays on tarot and tarot in tabletop games specifically. Um, and I I'm going to be dropping these videos on YouTube. And I will look up my own channel because I don't remember what it's called. Um, but youtube.com, where are you? I know my, let's see, view my channel, please. Yes, okay. So it's youtube.com/ at Pneumaterian, which is like not a good username,
Yeah, send me a
but it was
link.
never meant to. Yeah. Um um but it will be here. My username is semi-sentient gate orb. That's how you know you found the right person.
Badass, really good. I'm gonna subscribe to this YouTube account.
Nice.
Very very cool. Um, awesome.
So I will be yeah, I'll be posting um a sort of two kinds of videos. One, what I'm calling the major arcana, which will be like these big essays about like how to teach interpretation, or the history of tarot cards, or the history of tarot in tabletop games. And those will be kind of slower coming out. I don't know what my update schedule is going to be, but it's going to be uh, relatively standard as I get these out. And then the minor arcana will be me looking at specific tarot games and reviewing them and being like, well, this is how tarot is used in this game in particular, and this is the strength that tarot lends to it, and this is where tarot kind of falls short for its goals and that kind of thing.
Hell yeah. Uh, we got an email question, but I actually want to ask you a question first because I just thought of something.
Sure.
So I know that you collaborated at least somewhat on the original Interstitial, right?
Hmm.
Have you gotten a chance to look at the second one, the sequel, the Tiwi?
Um, I haven't. So, I think Interstitial was the first game that I ever laid out.
Oh, interesting.
Which it kind of shows. Um, I still have fond feelings for
Mhm.
that layout, but I've certainly learned a lot since then. Um, I have seen some of 2E. I haven't gotten a chance to read it myself. But like I've seen some of the stuff that Lady Tabletop wrote about laying out the book, and it looks fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
and I participated in the playbook jam that ended just recently.
Oh yeah.
I made the Venetian, which is based off of Marco Polo from Italo Calvino's Invisible Cities. Um, so the premise of it is like you go and you make links with the places that you visit, and
Uh,
you wax poetical about it, and you are like generally just sort of insufferable to listen to, and you you can at least you have this patron that you are reporting um your travels to, and you can lie to them if you want to. Um, it's always good to lie to your boss.
You gotta lie to your
That's
boss.
you have to. It's imperative.
I do want to
Um,
point out that jam is still going, so I can still
oh,
make the
good.
slot.
Yes, excellent.
Although someone already made the caged, so that kind of got me there. Sorry, silly. Uh, but yeah, that sounds really cool. I really liked the layout of the original interstitial. So I
Oh,
I don't know. I also have a lot of that's one of the first indie games that I played, so I have a lot of fond
cool.
feelings for it. And I'm also going to be playing Tiwi tonight with one of the people who I played my original game with, so that'll be fun. I'm playing Nick
Wonderful.
Valentine from Fallout 4. It's going to be really fun. Uh,
That's so good.
yeah, I'm going to be talking about the door to darkness and stuff like that. It's gonna be good. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. We have a question from Phoenix. Um, I like this one. This is a good question for you. Um,
Hmm.
what are your favorite tarot cards and why? Are there any you associate yourself with, and any with sentimental value? Does it tend to vary from deck to deck?
Oh, this is a good question. Um, yeah, so the the card that I associate myself with the most is the Hanged Man. Um, it's it's definitely the card that I find the most striking. And it's the card that I always seek out whenever I like find a new tarot deck, just because I want to see their take on it.
Hmm.
It's a really interesting card. It's um the interpretation for it that I've seen has been like um taking on a punishment that you don't necessarily earn, or
Right.
like taking taking advantage of a bad situation to kind of reflect on yourself and the world. And like um the Hanged Man, I associate that like with waiting at a doctor's office, right?
Uh-huh.
These periods of time where you're sort of between things and there's nothing else to do. Um, and there's no way to make whatever is coming happen faster. It is just going to come when it comes. Um, and like I I associate that with myself because I spend a lot of time standing in doorways.
Hmm.
Um, like um like uh sort of waffling about what to do, and what the right thing is, and sort of waiting to see what happens next. Um and it's important to me to like take opportunities when I see them. So like especially to make myself do things. uh
Right.
so like announcing the tarot things here so that it actually happens, kind of a thing. um that's the one I associate with myself with. My favorite it's probably the Empress. Um,
Hmm.
and because uh, I actually like the Empress inverted the best. So the Empress is this grand figure, this very like material, um, like bounty and wealth and generosity above all things. Like the Empress wants you to feel accommodated for, and wants to feed you, wants to make sure that you have a like that you like the roof over your head, not just that you have one. Um, and the inverse of that is um is when when you tick the Empress off, she will take all of this resource that she has and use it beyond what is reasonable to make your life miserable.
Right.
I think that's spectacular, and I support
Yeah.
women's wrongs.
I do too. I like the High
Mhm.
Priestess because when you use her, you get two random planet cards if you have room in your consumables. Sorry,
That is a very useful, yeah.
really silly joke. I don't know if you play Balatro. uh,
I haven't. I've been very careful to avoid it.
yeah, fair. It will destroy you. But in all seriousness, I would say. I mean, I probably just relate to the magician still because uh, it's a strange and fascinating man who was trying to flirt with me compared me to, and I kind of I like that. I think uh, I don't know. There's something really fun to me about like the like the left hand path and like the you know alternative potentials like
Hmm.
getting getting weird with it. Um,
Yeah, hell yeah.
harnessing that spiritual energy and shit. Um,
Hmm.
playing toys. Um, yeah. Do we have any other questions? Folks can also feel free to ask questions in the chat, and we will answer them as well. Um, bu- 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 I will also think about like duh, duh, duh. Okay.
The fact that I'm into tarot right now is really funny to me because when I grew up in a very Christian household,
Mhm.
and when I was like a tween, I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I was like I want to play with tarot cards, but I don't have any and I can't like ask for them because they're like the devil or whatever. So I like cut up a bunch of pieces of paper and just wrote the names of tarot cards on them. And like shuffled them and like was messing around with them, and then I got like scared. I was like, "Oh no, what am I doing?" And I like hid them. Um so the fact that like I grew up into this figure where it's like so much of my fascination is with them as like artifacts of meaning and of play. Like I'm actually pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said. Like it is almost not to not to talk about the thing that I always talk about. Like it is almost fetishistic, right? Like you are uh now that you're able to and that you're not afraid of them anymore, you are like fetishizing this thing that you were afraid of.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Good. Um, you would really like the Intimate Scholar in Sapphic World, I think. Um,
Mm.
they don't use tarot cards. They use a 52 card deck. But their whole thing is they are God. Uh, like they're like a neat gooner who like suddenly one day like gooned so hard that they like pierced the veil and like obtain this like magical deck of playing cards that they can use to like accidentally and intentionally alter reality. Um,
Nice.
and it is always like in a perverted way that like matches their their fetishes. Um, I won't name who, but someone I'm doing a play by post of Sapphic World with someone who has a really interesting connection with their deck, which is to say they keep fucking it. They're fucking and coming in their deck, which I think is beautiful. Um,
That's fantastic. Oh, what a good
yeah,
game.
thank you. I'm really excited. We're like you. This is kind of like a soft announcement. Viewer Beheld like has a date, not a date. We have months set for like when we actually want to fund the game. So
Nice.
Sapphic World might be real soon. Someone needs to
Oh yeah.
invent the Intimate Scholar for real life. I'm hoping to be that. That's my plan.
Excellent.
I want to pervert and corrupt all things that I say.
Hmm.
All right. Well, we're not receiving any more emails. I need to like it may be time soon. Oh, hang on. Let me make sure that the email bird is actually out here. Um, it may be time soon to retire or alter the email bit, because I'm noticing that it is waning a bit. And
Mm,
perhaps there are other things that I could use that slot for. But I think we had a robust conversation, so I'm happy to end it here. All right. Well, do you have anything else that you'd like to send folks toward? Anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
um, I I don't think so, other than, like, I don't know, just a general call to action of, like, find a mutual aid group in your area and get involved.
Yeah,
It's
things
bad
are
and it's gonna
difficult
get
right
worse.
now.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you can do genuine good things for other people in your life and outside of your
mm,
life. Uh, I'm personally still kind of trying to get there because uh, I being in and out of my hometown so much has made it really hard to do that, but
totally.
I want to.
Mhm.
I'm bummed I've just got. Nonetheless, Mossy Kid, glad to have you. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up now. Oh God, who am I? I have such interesting options. Um, I'm kind of tempt. It's always really funny to raid Anna Valens. Uh, I think it's actually Anna Valens. Anna Valens from the Dovecote because it's such a completely different tone. But also like Anna, Anna works for the Daily Dot is like a notable is like a notable individual.
Mhm.
So you know what? Fuck it. Go say hi to Anna. Anna is doing Rampage World Tour with Vor Redeems on. Um, Politics Yellow, which I don't know what that means, but God bless. So yeah, go to Vorhaven. Go have fun in Anna's Vor world. And
Wonderful.
have a great night, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck, and have fun